It is October 3rd, day 9 out here in the Mini Transat, leg 1. And we have just under 600 miles to go to the finish line down to La Palma and the Canaries. So right now it is late morning and we are about 160 miles southwest of Lisbon, Portugal. Yeah, we got the spinnaker up. We're doing some downwind sailing. It's been a lovely 16 to 19 knots of wind all morning. I do apologize, I've not done any filming for the last couple of days. I think the first couple of days were really hard, trying to get out of the Bay Biscay, get around Cape Finisterre with that front. And I mean, after that front, it took a solid 3 days just to clean up the boat. And 3 days because everything was so wet and damp the whole time. And then it also just takes a lot of energy and time, and you're still racing the whole time. You're not hitting the pause button at all. So it's doing a few projects here and there at a time, and there was just, unfortunately, you know, getting some awesome GoPro footage was at the bottom of the priority list. So I'm sure you'll all understand. But it has been a wild last couple of days. I think challenging physically with all the different sail changes. We had strong winds, we had light winds, we had a lot of drifting, which I think mentally that's almost the hardest part, is getting through those days where there's either no wind at all or less than 5 knots of wind. You know, I was laughing yesterday. I got really excited when we were moving about 2.5 knots in 3 knots of wind. And that made me really excited yesterday. So that's just to put in perspective how light it's been, you know, through some of this part. So, but we're moving, we're doing it. It's been interesting. So the last week I've stayed really close with a pack of about 4 or 5 boats. And we've been tacking and driving and, you know, lead changes throughout the last couple of days. So I've been doing a good job of both managing the weather, I believe, and also the fleet management with that fleet around me. Unfortunately, yesterday at about 1500 in the afternoon, when the wind was completely dead, I could see a couple of the other boats on AIS, and they just took off with a new puff of wind that I had to wait another 2 hours to get. So with that 2-hour delay, essentially, I lost all sight of all the boats on AIS, and I've not seen them since then. So it's been a while, and based off what I heard on the radio, because I couldn't see them on AIS, but I could hear some radio chatter with them talking to some other ships that have gone by. I believe they are, if I'm going southwest, they're to my northwest. So I believe a lot of the fleet is just up there, off my starboard bow. That's what I believe. I don't think they've jibed over yet, but that's also unknown as well because we don't have any satellite communications. I can't see the GPS tracker. And even though I can see around about 12 miles around my boat on the AIS, which uses a VHF transmission signal, that 12 miles sounds big, but it is really small out here when you're thinking that we got just under 600 miles to go to the finish. So there's a lot of square footage out here that these boats could be sailing around. I'm feeling a lot better. Even though I wish I was closer to some of the other boats, I'm feeling more confident with our position, especially with the speed. The forecast is looking better for downwind sailing for the next at least couple days. So we should be good. Basically what I've been waiting for the last 12 hours is I've been waiting for those 4 or 5 boats to jibe over and cross my bow so I could catch up with them on AIS. I was expecting them to do that by now, and they haven't. And the wind is starting to flock to the right, so I'm thinking about jibing soon, just because I'm not on the long jibe anymore. And so I'm okay going over to this side of the course, over to the west side. That's where I want to be, is more on the western side, move over to that western part of it, but it's getting to be a time to jibe soon. So I was wishing I could jibe with the other boats in my AIS view, but I don't think that's gonna be the case. So we'll have to see how it plays out. Here's the other interesting thing too, is for the when you're thinking about fleet management and why it's so important, between the 2 legs, you're scored on the overall time it takes you to complete the 2 legs. So you got to be careful with doing too many very risky decisions, because even though you might lose only 2 places, or you know, two or 3 spots of boat, if you do something too risky, those 2 or 3 spots could really be 12 to 24 hours of time. And so that's what really matters, is how much time are you giving up on the race course compared to exactly how many places of boats. So factoring that in, that's why I kind of wanted to stay with these boats over here, because if I jibed last night, let's say, that potentially could put me ahead of them or also much farther behind them. Whereas staying a little bit closer to them here, if I lose out, it could be instead of 24 hours, it could be just 3 hours of time. So that's kind of what I'm playing with, and the reason why I'm going over here. The other thing to jibe, there's a lot that has to go into it. So we're gonna move the solar panels, we're gonna move the hydro generator, we're gonna shift the sails over, and then once I'm set up on the new jibe, then I'm gonna go down below, move everything down below, switch sides, and also move it pretty far aft. So there's a lot that goes into it. So it takes about 30 minutes to jibe the boat in these conditions. And I think we'll go into it soon. There you go, that's how you attack the hydro generator. Super simple, huh? Alright, time to go move everything down below now. Alright, now the fun part. We get to decide where everything goes. This is the best little seat ever. So I can sit on there and knock my butt right up top. A little cushion. So we're gonna move all this stuff and move it into there. On the high side and aft. All right, we did it. We jacked the boat. Probably take about 30 minutes. is the evening of the 9th day here on terminal leave, down below. Drove most of the day and then also into the evening. It's been blowing about 18 to 22 knots, and we got the big spinnaker up, and we are flying downwind. Basically, we got the Portugal trade winds, so we are hauling ass, going fast, and after falling asleep about 3 times at the helm, I finally decided to put the autopilot on, and it's actually doing a really good job. I got the gain set up really high, and it's going here. I'll give you a little view of it. Look at that. It's working. But yes, the autopilot's actually doing a really good job right now. Better than it was doing earlier today. So we are going fast. It's blowing 20 knots right now, and we're averaging around 9.5, 10 knots, it seems like. Right now we're at 8.5, a little slow. We'll get on some waves. Basically, we've been catching a lot of these waves, and they've been really short and long, and so the boat's just been surfing and bouncing, and the bow hasn't dug too deep, and so we've been just going really fast for the last couple hours. We have less than 500 miles to go now. We're at about 499 miles till the finish. I was trying to sleep. I was trying to get a nap in, but it's just too rough. Even though I was literally falling asleep while steering. So the problem is I can't lie down anywhere. I mean, this is the bunk. There's nothing here. I tried going just in front of this gear, but it's a little too far forward and the bow is digging in. And then this is all open, but the second I go down there, the boat wipes out. So we don't want the boat wiping out again. Forecast has this wind sticking around, so we've been going like this since this morning, I would say, right? We've had good spinnaker. I mean, we've had the spinnaker up since yesterday evening at about maybe like 5 o'clock in the evening. We put the spinnaker up. We've had it up this entire time. But we've really been cruising all day today and in the evening, so it's been good. We're cranking out miles. Cranking out the miles here.